Yes, I know I probably shouldn't be eating mac and cheese for breakfast, but you know what? You weren't the boss of me.
Okay, now I feel better about eating half a coconut cream pie with my coffee this morning.
Yum. A strong Wordle score sometimes feels like somebody just handed me a best in show ribbon, and I've never even gotten it in one try.
What was life like before Wordle? I can't recall.
Me either. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome to Have Such a Good Day, the show that returns, hoping, praying that you'll do just that.
Yeah, emphasis on the praying. Welcome to the show that talks about vibes and birds, and they are definitely not a hoax, okay? Birds are real.
Vibes and birds?
Vibes and birds and asshole pets, among other things.
The birds aren't real thing. I've only heard of it in passing, and I'm just like, I don't even get the joke, you know?
It's kind of just supposed to be lighthearted and funny, making fun of all the conspiracy theories out there. But it's I mean, it's funny at first glance, but it kind of gets old. And I mean, dude, come on. I just saw a whole flock of robins eating out front. They are definitely real. They have heartbeats. They're real. They're not robots.
At the beach this morning, I took Otis the dog to the beach. It's early, and there's plenty of birds, all sorts of birds out and about. And he knows he can't catch the birds, but he runs after them, and then they kind of go into the ocean, and he's like, not doing that. But for some reason, there was a bird that kind of went straight out, and he was just like prey drive action where he's just like, me too, and I'm like, Otis, no, because the waves were real big, it's just it's dangerous surf anyway. And so everything was fine. He was just like, what have I done?
Do you think the birds are scared of him? I mean, what did they think?
No, I do not. I think they're like, okay, dummy, we're just gonna fly now, and you can't catch us.
Well, I wonder if they can decipher between a dog and a car, because when you almost hit a bird in a car and they're like, whoa, and they get out of the way. It's what do they see exactly? It's just something coming at them.
Yeah. I don't know.
You never know.
We should ask a bird.
We should ask a bird. I'll consult the robins after the show.
Please do.
You guys, seriously though.
What?
This is the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment.
Well, birds are absurd in their own ways. I'm a big bird fan.
They're very prehistoric.
They're just great. I love a bird. I had a pet bird many years ago in my childhood.
Was it a finch?
He was a cockatiel. His name was Squeakers. And it all started because I had this babysitter, like an after school babysitter, because my parents worked. So I had to go somewhere for a few hours after school when I was too young to be home alone. Also, I don't even know how I would have gotten home. In the country, it was really far. But the babysitter, she took a few of us kids after school every day, and it was fun. You just play for a while until your mom comes and gets you. But she had a conure, which is a small parrot named Dusty. And Dusty was not very fond of us. And we also were instructed, don't go up to Dusty, without permission. You can't just go touch him, he'll bite you.
Yeah.
And it's also not your house. And, because of that, we were all just obsessed with Dusty. We all, every once in a while, we'd be she'd put, Dusty on my shoulder, and I'd just be like, this is the coolest thing. I loved Dusty. And so because of that, for years, we always had 3 cats and a dog. And so I'd be like, we need a bird. My parents were like, no, we're not getting a bird. And finally, I must have wore them down, because we did. We got Squeakers the cockatiel, who was with us for many years. And he was a real jerk. But
see,
he was also
pets.
he was a dick. But he was also really cute about certain things. He loved napkins. He was very into napkins.
He ate them?
He wouldn't
or
eat
he
them, but he
used
would
them as blankets.
Well, so he had a cage, right? And he was mostly kind of outside of his cage. He was really only in his cage with it closed overnight. He put a little blanket over the cage and say goodnight. But he would, sit on top of his cage. He liked it, where his food is, his water and everything. And if you tied a paper towel like onto the top of the cage, just like a little knot, he'd be like, ooh, and
How
like
fun.
kind of flirt with it and sing to it and kind of like bob his head. And you'd have to
cute.
change it out every once in a while because he would sort of like bite at it, and you know, and it would start to get
Maybe
funky.
he thought it was a female
He
bird.
just he loved all things napkin. And if you like put a napkin on top of him, he'd be like, ooh, you know, and like do his little like flappy wings. It was
A
really
reminder of the simple pleasures. But you know, I don't know. I mean, a bird as a pet is different. My sister had birds too. I believe she had a cockatiel, right? Yeah, not a cockatoo.
Cockatoo is the big white bird.
Yeah, there's a smaller
Cockatiels are the
version.
little guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she had finches, and I remember like feeling kind of bad for them because like the cage wasn't. I mean, it was not small, but it wasn't big, and they were stuck in there.
And then yeah,
And it's a little sad.
yeah, I'm with you on that. There are certain situations where I would be pretty happy having a bird again, but it would not be in a cage all day. That just
It would just be flying around your house and like sleeping with you in your linen sheets and going out for a
Maybe.
walk and
Maybe. Yeah.
Hey, oh, actually, remember? I think it was a few shows back. I have a workman who has this bird. It's some kind of like pheasant or something, and it's like his pet, and he's like hangs out in the backyard. He doesn't fly, so he doesn't leave. Like he's like has a name. It's like George or something, and like he like hangs. I think it's kind of cool. He's like a big bird. I have to find out what kind of bird
yeah,
it is.
pheasant is that's
I
hardcore.
don't think it was a pheasant, or I don't think it is a pheasant. I think it's I can't remember what it is. I will report back. But I'm kind of fascinated. I never knew you could have that. I mean, other than like chickens, if you want, you know, to have eggs and
Well, people have like carrier pigeons, you
That's
know,
true.
or doves.
I mean,
or-
ghost dog, yo.
Yeah, right. Good example
Yep.
of that. I think the Royal
He's real.
Tenenbaums also had some carrier
Yeah,
pigeons.
probably most Wes Anderson movies have pigeons in them.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, I've had not a terrible week. Not that
good.
I've had lots of terrible weeks lately, but you know, some weeks are better than others. But it's been quite warm here, and we're in a super drought, so the warmth and the sun feels really great. But I wish it would rain because it's supposed to rain, but it feels really great.
It actually it like drizzled for like 8 minutes the other day. Do you think that put a dent in the drought?
Well,
It
didn't
literally
drizzle
like
here.
drizzled for like a couple minutes. It was kind of sad. It was like, really? Like, why bother?
Yeah, I know. It's like you might as well just call it a day and let it rain.
Let her rip.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, we have for sure not gotten any rain here. I even like watered some of my outdoor potted plants the other day because I'm like, you poor kids, you know, you need sustenance. But there's sort of bigger news, I guess, around here in Sonoma County, and I'm not sure what the deal is in the rest of California because I don't know anything about the world anymore. I just live in a bubble. But no more masks indoors.
Yeah, here
Now,
too.
We've oh yeah, okay. So I believe maybe it's statewide. I thought LA County
I think
there
it
was still a
is,
mask mandate.
But I think that I think places can make their own decisions if I don't really know either. See, this whole thing is very confusing.
So, you know, it's funny because I went grocery shopping a couple days ago. So the mandate lifted 2 days ago here. We're, you know,
Yeah,
from
S2
when
was
we're
on Tuesday, I guess.
from when we're recording. Yeah, and I just didn't know. I wasn't up on it. I don't know where I would have seen the news. I guess I just didn't hear about it. And
Yeah.
I had gone grocery shopping at this. It's a market, but it's like it's hard to explain. It's not a supermarket where you sort of walk through the double doors that close behind you. It's somewhat open air, but it's still when you go back far enough. It's not a tiny little fruit stand. I mean, there's more to it. So you're indoors, but it's very airy. And I noticed a couple people who weren't wearing masks. I saw one person and it didn't really register. And then I saw another one and I'm sort of like, whoa, no mask. And I just wasn't they weren't that close to me. And I was just like, I'm not going to get involved in this, you know? But I assume if a worker sees them, they'll have to put their mask on. And I didn't really think anything more about it. And then the next day, I was, I don't know, I don't remember where I was. Oh, I was at the hardware store, which is very small, you know, and kind of cramped. And the guy behind the counter wasn't wearing a mask. And I said, no mask, huh? You know, I didn't mean to be rude about it, but like I was sort of like, he probably forgot, you know, like, you know, just sort of a gentle reminder, right? And he goes, well, don't have to anymore. And I was like, you're kidding. Says who? And he goes, says, I don't know.
California.
Governor. Yeah, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was a weird feeling because the first time we were able to take masks off here, didn't last very long, just over a month, I think, was last summer. I think it was like lifted in May, and then like by the end of June, we had to wear them again. So didn't really have a whole lot of time to get used to it. But I did go to the grocery store and a few other places, you know, during that time. And I was like, okay, no mask. You know, some people still wore them. I chose not to. Felt kind of good. Felt like life was coming back. And then it's like, that was short-lived.
Womp womp. Yep.
And this time around, it's like, it's just been so long at this point that I went to, after Odie and I went to the beach, there's this like incredible bread place that's like in this tiny little town that's, if you're going to the beach, it wouldn't be convenient for me to go otherwise, you know, but we were coming back from there. And again, it's an outdoor thing. Like you're waiting in line. It's very popular. So you're always going to be waiting in line, but it's outdoors. You know, just like people and their dogs. And I kind of look at there were probably a solid 15 people in line, you know, kind of queued up. And I'm sort of like, do I wear it? Do I not? I don't have to. But I would say it was about half and half. A lot of people weren't, you know. The people inside, because you kind of go up to like a counter window and you order, and, you know, all the bread people are inside. So you don't actually go in anywhere. It's just kind of a window. But they were wearing masks. And so I was like, I just feel better. I feel like I'm like, you know, I'm with you, workers, you know, working hard to, you know, to make this food that I'm about to buy. It just feels like the right thing to do. So I wore it, and, you know, nobody looked at me weird because it's like, I think we're all just trying to get used to it. But I just felt strange. I felt like almost naked.
Oh yeah, it's really funny because I had a similar experience, and I ended up not wearing my mask. You know, because it was basically like, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. And I go into my local co-op, and you know, I walk in without a mask, and I felt naked. I felt like and people like looked over at me. You know, it was like I was standing naked in front of the class, you know, kind of thing. And I'm like, hi. And all the workers for the most part were wearing masks. And, you know, I think there was like one person where I had never seen their face without a mask, and I think that's that person, that checker that I've been going to for the past 2 years, and I've never seen their mouth. But I was like cruising through it felt weird. I was like, I didn't feel guilty. I felt exposed is maybe the best word. Because I was like, I almost like not showing my mouth, because then you don't necessarily have to smile. It's like you can kind of hide behind it. And so I felt really exposed. I felt fine though. I felt safe enough. I mean, it's not like I'm up in someone's grill in the produce aisle, like,
sure.
You know, but you know, I'm kind of leaning over to grab a cabbage, and there's like a woman with a mask right there, and I think she kind of was startled by me not wearing them. I don't know if she was startled because I was closer than usual, or that I wasn't wearing a mask. So it's
I think we're all just not used to it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, definitely when I'm on a hike with my dog, and, you know, I'm not wearing a mask, right? If I'm even if I'm running errands, like I've got my mask in my hand as I'm walking in the front door of wherever I need to go, you know, mask goes on. It's like I'm not wearing my mask in my car driving.
A lot of people do,
I've
though.
actually forgotten a couple times. But I think it's sort of, I feel sort of, I don't know. It's like learned behavior.
Oh,
That's
for sure.
the way that I feel about
we
it.
Adapt.
Because we adapt. And it's just the little time where I was not wearing a mask again last year. It was such a little blip. Yeah. And it went away. I was like, that was fun while it lasted. You know, whatever. Like, you know, time to be safe again. And the whole thing about okay, well, you don't have to wear it anymore means no one should be judged for not wearing it anymore. And you have to assume that they're vaccinated and being safe, you know,
Yeah, I
because you just
mean,
can't ask everybody. We're not all wearing our like cards on our chest
and
like
you
a
have to
scarlet
assume
letter.
too, like some people are going to not wear their masks to just be ornery or, you know, that haven't been vaxxed. You know that's going to happen.
Oh, I'm positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that the only thing you can do is protect yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's just no way to really know how else everybody's living their lives. But there is a little bit of a I'm gonna have to ease into it. I do have to do
Yeah.
some errands this weekend, so we'll see. We'll see.
Well, let me
We'll
know
see how it goes.
because yeah, we're going to the farmers market tomorrow. You know, last weekend we went to the farmers market. They were pretty strict up until recently, but like last weekend, you didn't have to wear masks, and it's an outdoor market, like fully outdoor. But you didn't have to wear them last weekend, but you've had to wear them for this last year or so, and it's just it's a drag to wear them outside like that, I guess. And you know, God, I mean, the whole vibe, it's like so much more fun to go. It's like you just feel liberated. And I'm going now because I kind of stopped going because I was like, oh, God, it's a pain in the butt. And so I'm excited about that. So I will test those waters myself. And it's interesting because getting all these rumblings of like all these festivals that are kind of dropping, you know, they drop their flyers online, you know, on Twitter or whatever. And you know, Coachella has officially like dropped the safety precautions for this spring. No, you don't need to be vaccinated, no testing or masking requirements, blah, 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 blah.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds insane.
I know.
I mean,
I
maybe
agree.
they just. I mean, I get that you wouldn't have to wear a mask, but the whole idea is that you know you kind of have proof of
I
vaccination. But
agree.
perhaps it's just such a big festival that they know that it would just be a nightmare to. I don't know.
That's
I've
part
only
of
been to
it.
Coachella once, and it was way too much for me. I'll never go again.
Yeah, and I think it's funny. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this because they did say one piece of this article that I did see was that it would be an insane amount of crew that you would have to be monitoring people wearing their masks. Can you imagine, like people like in a mosh pit, and you're like, put your mask back on. You know, your mask is like falling off, and you're all sweaty and. Yeah, I
Ugh,
mean, it's an interesting thing though.
thank
So
you.
some of my friends in one of my friend groups called the Chat Olympics, is what we call ourselves, but they've been kind of, you know, dropping in these concert flyers that have been popping up, a lot of hip hop stuff, you know. Well, there's like the Governor's Ball, which is in New York City, which isn't hip hop focused, but then there's this Mount Westmore with like Snoop and Ice Cube, and then there's this Lovers and Friends that has like Lauryn Hill and TLC. It's like a Vegas thing, and they're kind of talking about going and like seriously, I mean, like back in the day, like I would be front and center. I would totally mosh if that was what was happening. And it was like a real tribal experience. And like when I look back on those times, it is wonderful. Like a lot of my favorite experiences were in those situations. But when I was hearing my friends kind of talk about they really do truly want to go to this show in Vegas, I mean, theoretically, it does sound really fun to like rage, you know, on a hip hop dance floor. But the first thing I thought of was a shooting. I'm like, well, I'm not going to feel safe because, gosh, that shooting that was there that one year, that was really scary. People's sweat flying in your face, like rubbing elbows and like having to wear earplugs. Like, I know I might sound like an old person, but like it sounds stressful. The whole thing sounds stressful. It's like it does not I feel like the fun may not outweigh the stress anymore. And I don't know if it is age talking here, but it is a fragile balance of like how we're going to enter back into the world of having fun, because I want to have fun and I am having fun now. It's not that I never have fun, but like getting back out in the world in crowd situations and staying safe. And I'm not saying just from COVID, because I'm not hyper paranoid about COVID, but I'm all this other stuff that's going on in the world. The world has just become a less, you know, safe place. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of practice, like you were saying. Maybe it's an adaptation thing, maybe not. But I'm more excited about getting out there, the springtime, like things kind of opening up in terms of the sky being brighter, you know, the flowers blooming, being able to like lay outside in a hammock, you know, wearing shorts, prancing in the poppies. You know, I don't know about a crowd of sweaty people. excite me right now. So I'd be curious how you guys feel about this. What are you excited about in this re-entry? Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Indeed, do so. I'm pretty much, and I know that hopefully there'll be like fun exceptions in the future. I'm pretty much done with musical venues. And I'm not even talking about festivals that are like massive, because I never liked those. I've never liked the like
You never
multiple
did. I remember
stage.
that.
You got to run to this way. You know, it's like, it's just, it bothers me. And there's too many people, and it's, you're looking for the bathrooms and yeah. But even just,
Your feet
it's
hurt. I mean, the list goes on.
yeah, exactly. You know, lines are long for snacks
the
and
lines.
blah blah blah.
Ugh,
But
the lines. It's the worst part.
but it's even. I mean, how many times did you and I go to the Independent, right, in San Francisco back in the day, and it's packed, and you're having so much fun, and you kind of even like push to get to the front a little bit, and you know, and
it's all part of it.
You know, I'm a tiny person, so I'm never gonna be like over anybody. People are always going to be taller than me around
There's
me.
always the most tall dude standing in front of you. That's always
Yeah,
the case.
but even, and there have been times where I'd be like, yo, can I get in front of you? And they're like, yeah, of course, I can totally see over you. But there have been times where it's like the like pulse of the crowd was really fun.
Sure.
And I don't know if I can feel that way again, because I'm worried about being crushed to death because I have good reason to. That happens.
Yep.
I'm worried about there being a fire and not getting out of the fire exits, because that happens. And just, like you said, that feeling of humans way too close to me.
Yeah.
You know, and in some cases touching me, not like groping me, although that happens too, but just like a body touching me and I don't know the person is like that. I don't know if I can make that fun again.
I know.
I think that ship might have sailed for me.
we it's like we know too much now. It's just like it's like the innocence of being young and that sort of ignorance of it was so fun rubbing elbows with people, and it was either like a cute boy or maybe it wasn't. I mean, there was definitely those times. I remember these like, you know, just mean people in the crowds, but most of the time it was like people cheering on for the same band, you know, and it was fun, and it was just like this just fun party, and I do miss that. But I've had some situations where, you know, someone throws a drink at you or whatever. I don't know.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. Not that they directed it straight at me, but like
it's
they
just
threw
like
their
it
drink
spills
and like,
on you, and you're kind of like, oh man.
Well, a lot of times they'll be like, oh yay, let's spray this champagne. Isn't this fun? And then you're like, no, fuck you. I have champagne all over me now. It's like in my hair. That's happened a lot. Where, and you know, a lot of people like that. They're like, woo, champagne.
Oh my gosh. I mean, can't think of one time that has happened to me. Well, unless
Sarah,
I was like in the, you know, like a Vegas pool party. Like there's definitely been like champagne, like, you know, sprayed on somebody because it was their birthday and we're like, yay, we're in bathing suits. It's fine. But if it was a stranger who's like, I'm going to dose you, I'd be like, oh no.
I remember it being someone on the stage. And so like you basically like spray the champagne on the crowd from the stage.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And it's like, and some people like open their mouth or like, me here, you know. It's like I don't. It's not like I'm like mad about it. I'm just like, now I'm soaking wet, and it's like cold in here. Like
it's just like people are sweaty and hot, but now I'm cold, covered in champagne. I'm sticky. I didn't even get drunk. This sucks.
But oh boy, have I had some good times. And I've been to such a wide range of venues, like small, large, like, and such a variety of like music talent, you know, everything from, I mean, gosh, Danny Brown to, you know, like The Cure, and just so much fun. And I miss those days. And I, it's funny, I hear some people recently say, oh, I took my kid to the Rolling Stones concert, you know, like at a huge venue. And I'm like, wow, you did that? Like, I would just feel kind of maybe unsafe. I don't know, especially with like a little kid, you know, especially with everything that happened last year, like the Travis Scott concert. I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just getting more cautious as we age. I'm not really sure.
I think it's a mixture of, the modern world we live in, feeling a little bit older and wiser, you know, and less adventurous in my case, definitely. And I have never, it totally depends on the parent and the kid. So I'm not going to be like, oh, kids shouldn't be at adult sort of venue type things, because I know that I have no place to even tell anybody how I feel. But there have been situations where I'm kind of like, why is your kid here? And it's not because I don't think they are capable of having fun. It's like, it's hot, you know? There's too many people being wild, you know? Like, I am just, like, I would just be so nervous. I'm nervous when I hang out with my friends' kids and it feels chaotic.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sort of like, nah, there are children here. Let's go to safety. Let's go to a safe landing somewhere away from these people who are erratic and might do something crazy. I don't know.
It's so true. I mean, and the thing is we're coming off such a stressful couple years. I mean, think about how people have been acting in airplanes and in airports. It's like people are going to like lose their shit, like in a good way and maybe a bad way. I mean, people, I don't know. I would definitely be cautious getting out there. I think people, you're going to see some weird stuff for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm supposed to go to a wedding in Ohio in July, and I'm like worried about it, and it's February.
Did you get a ticket already?
No, I haven't. I mean, I haven't canceled my trip or anything. This is all something I'm planning to do, but it's like, it stresses me out. It just stresses me out because it's like, okay, there's a lot of things have to happen for me to get there. You know, not just like, oh, I'm worried about, you know, wearing a mask on a plane or whatever, because I assume that's going to be a mandate for some time, although I don't know. But it's just like, I'll be so far from home, you know, and my dog's got to do something, and you know,
it's that far from home thing too.
Well, and a lot of this also, and you know, I don't want to complain about Airbnb really at all anymore because I've done plenty of it. But it's like, we're going to, you know, July is high season here. I mean, we're going to be balls to the wall here at the house, you know, and it's hot and people are going to be in the pool and they're going to, you know, need things and something's going to break. And it's like the couple of times where something, you know, has happened where I'm not at the house, I haven't been far.
Yeah.
I might have, you know, had to either rush back home or at least kind of like talk somebody through something. But I wasn't at somebody's wedding across the country.
Can you attend via Zoom? Is that happening still?
I don't think that would.
It's not so fun.
I'm sure I could, but I mean, it's not. I would like to go. A lot of people I know will be there, and you know, it'll be fun.
Sure.
But we'll see. We'll see. Well, on a speaking of planes, but on a somewhat lighter note, I don't know. It kind of depends on where you are in the world. Heather, I'm sure you're aware that there's been this crazy storm in the UK. And it's Storm Eunice is the name, and it's like crazy, like over 100 miles per hour winds, you know, tearing roofs up, and there's videos all over the internet of, you know, people's garbage cans flying through the air. I mean, it's pretty major. And as of this recording, I believe it's starting to die down, but over the last couple of days, it's been, you know, pretty bad, and people are stuck inside and kind of worried about it and all that stuff. Well, there was a live stream that happened Friday morning, and this was, you know, London time, so it was well before I was awake, but it was a live stream of this guy. His name is Jerry Dyer, who has this like YouTube channel called Big Jet TV, and it's exactly what it sounds like. He does live streams of jets flying in and out of Heathrow Airport.
That's fun.
And he's popular. Like he's fun, and he's like totally enthusiastic about planes, and he kind of posts up and does videos with commentary, and he's near enough to where they're taking off and landing that he seems pretty close. You know, he's obviously zooming his camera a bit, but he seems pretty close. And there's a live stream during the storm, because Heathrow stayed open, of these huge jetliners like trying to land, but like the wind was so strong that every landing was like precarious. Like,
wow.
Are they gonna make it? You know, and you figure, you know, the pilots are doing their best. The, you know, air traffic tower, you know, is certainly on a good day, like they kind of land themselves, you know what I mean? With the pilot just supervising, but it's like, there are also a bunch of people on that plane, you know, like, and you've ever had a crazy plane landing?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's not fun.
Oh yeah.
And
Makes you not want to fly again, but then you do.
Well, yeah, I mean, or you don't.
Yeah.
But so this whole live stream, by the time I got wind of it, it was already over. It wasn't live anymore, but it was like the talk of the internet. We actually talked about it on Daily Tech News Show last week as well, because it was just like and the question we were all asking ourselves is like, why is it that some things like that, I mean, that's so niche, that's so specific. Like, I have never once, even though I am fascinated that huge planes can fly in the air, I've never once like gone to a field next to LAX, which I know some people have done, and just be like, let's watch planes. It's not something I've gone so far as to do, but I appreciate the fact that someone else is like, I love this so much that I'm gonna like make a YouTube channel and I'm gonna share it with the world. This particular stream was like, it was actually really dramatic. It would have been really horrible if something bad had happened and nothing did. You had some planes who like couldn't land, and so they had to like go to another airport type thing. But like, it wasn't like there was a crash or anything.
Yeah.
That would have been like tragic and super horrible. This wasn't that. But it's like, I mean, millions of people have watched this stream now, even though it's not live anymore. It's like pretty popular, for something that was only a few hours old, at least when I watched it.
I don't even know what that is. It's funny. You didn't know about the masks, but then you knew about this like niche, like webcam. It's awesome. I love it.
Well, because it's a news item,
Sure.
I feel, trust me, I am very stupid about lots of things going on in the world, because there are days where I'm just like, I got to focus on the things I got to focus on. It's like work or my, household duties, or I don't know, visiting a friend or whatever it is. And I completely don't know this huge thing that's going on that everyone else seems to know about. The mask thing also, I feel like I could be forgiven just because things change so much around here.
Oh,
But yeah, you would have thought I would have heard about it at least on like KQED radio or something.
Yeah. I mean,
Guess I just wasn't listening during the right time, or
Yeah.
maybe I've just been out to lunch mentally.
there's too much news. You can't, the 24-hour news cycle. I mean, you cannot know it all. There's just no way.
No, there isn't. Yeah, I have a. This is not really. I think I would definitely be forgiven for not knowing a lot about this, but I've got these folks that I'm in a crypto channel with, like a Slack channel, and they're all into crypto. And I am, after I had surgery and I was just like bedridden last year, I was just into stuff that I wouldn't have had time for otherwise, because I had some downtime, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna like try harder to understand what everybody's talking about, or this particular, I don't know, NFT or whatever. And a lot of it I'm just like, I'm just not even interested enough to do this, and I also don't have money to play with, so it's like not that fun, but I should know about it. And that's like one of those things where I will check in, not even like all day every day, because they're just yapping all day every day. Who's got the time? I don't know how they do, but I don't. And I'll check in and just be like, I don't even know, there'll be like some drama, like somebody got doxxed and it was like crypto related, where I'm just like, I just don't even have, like, there's only so much brain capacity that I have.
Of course.
And granted, some of that brain capacity goes to horrible trash television that I enjoy very much. So it's like, sure, I could be like a scholar all day, every waking hour of my day. But sometimes we gotta take a little rest, everybody. So pardon me if I'm just getting up to speed on Ukraine.
Well, you're way more up to speed on this crypto stuff. I mean, I've mentioned this before. I was never, I never had that brain capacity to think about like investing and stocks and like finances. Like, I did fairly well in my career, but like I never was one to prepare for my retirement and my IRA and all this stuff. And I'm kind of into it now. I mean, I think because I'm like more mature and I've grown up. But you only have so much brain capacity. I mean, seriously. And you choose what you want to fill your brain with. I mean, it's like you are what you eat. You are what you think about. In a lot of ways, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, before we move on, I just want to say, when I say trash television, it's like, that sometimes like almost sounds like I'm being mean to the television show. There are lots of television shows that I put in that category, but it's like I'm mostly talking about just reality television.
Yeah.
But it's not that you can't get something out of it. It totally depends on the show. So don't let me disparage all of a certain genre of television. However, there is one show that I have recently become addicted to. It's not. I think I'm like late to the game on it. I don't think it's a brand new show, but it's called. What is it called? It's Reno No Demo, which is like, I think that's right.
Renovate, don't demolish.
Exactly. And the whole idea is that the star of the show is this woman, and she runs like a renovation and like interior design business in Texas, in Dallas. And she's got a whole team, and she really seems like she knows what she's talking about. And she's also a really good host. She's totally playing to the camera, and she's very likable. And the whole thing is that, yeah, you have these people who are like, well, we have like $50,000 to renovate our house, but like we can't demolish the house. We don't have that kind of money. And you have like, permits, and that takes like sometimes like more than a year and the whole thing. So it's like, it's all about like reimagining the house without really like doing much. I mean, sure, you might take out flooring, but you're not going to like take down walls.
Yeah.
So it's like how to make that house that someone is like, ugh, we hate this house. Just like make it better. More of a facelift kind of show.
See, I'd be into watching that. And I'm not a big reality show person, but I do love like interior design. And I feel like I have instincts for it, but there are certain things where I'm like, I need help. Like, I don't know what to do with this room. Or like, I'm actually in that. I'm actually, after I record with you today, I'm going to be working on our guest bedroom, because I have a guest coming this weekend who's going to actually stay in our guest bedroom. Nobody has stayed in our guest bedroom yet, because like I said, we only have I've said this before, we have a single bed in there, which, I mean, it's fine. Some people don't care, but it's not.
I wouldn't care.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge deal for a couple nights, but I feel a little bad because there were 3 queen beds in here, but like the previous owner took all 3 queen beds. And so I have the single, and we have a separate kind of in-law unit that she could stay in, but she wants to stay in the house with us. So I'm like, that's fine. Of course. Yeah. You're going to deal with my asshole pets, but yeah, it'll be good. But yeah, so I have to work on that room, and that room's just challenging. It's like, I would love to learn. I have a lot to learn, and I can pull a room together in some sense, but
yeah,
there are lots of things in my house that I would love to ask an expert about. So
yes.
yeah,
so this is exactly it's exactly one of those shows, because I'm with you. I love before and after stuff. Not just houses, but just, anything where it's like, oh, and look, this beautiful butterfly now. Yeah, exactly. And it's so, and I mean, a demolition would also be fine. It's like, I'm not doing any of this stuff. I'm just a bystander watching, but it is always fun because like the couple like goes away. This is all somewhat staged. You know what I mean? When they go like, well, we only have 3 weeks. It's like, dude, you probably didn't do this in 3 weeks,
No.
but whatever. It's television.
Yeah.
But like
Embellish a
the
little.
couple like goes away. It's pretty much always like husband and wife, and they've got like these like big old houses in Texas, like where you're just like, gosh, these people have big houses. And they don't necessarily do the entire house. They'll be like, okay, like the problem areas are like kitchen, living room, bathroom, or master bedroom sucks, or whatever. That they're always kind of different. And they come back for the big reveal, and it's like every time it's always very dramatic. Yeah, it's a dramatic transformation, but it's like still the same room. Nothing really changed all that much. It's all cosmetic, but it like makes such a difference, and people are crying and stuff. It's just great. Oh my gosh, I love it.
While they're crying because with happiness, like
yeah. No one is like, well, I don't like this.
Yeah.
But not everybody cries. I did. There was one person who cried at episode that I watched
I would
last
maybe
night.
cry once my master bathroom really needs to be renovated, and I might cry like when I actually I have a vision for it
When it's done.
Oh my God! I mean, I want it so bad. And it's so hard. It's like, that is such a big renovation. It's like, I've done some little things and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that took me a week or whatever. But this is big. Like this is going to take a month. Like I need to retile it. I need a tile guy. I need or gal or whatever. I got to go look at tile. I got to go pick things out first. I mean, before everything.
I mean, a month if you're lucky. Sounds like,
if I'm lucky. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you got 2 people on it, but you can only fit 2 people in the bathroom. So it's like, you kind of can't speed it up anymore with more people because you can't fit them in there. And so those are, I mean, sometimes I won't even think about it a lot of the time, but then I'll have days where I like, it's bugging me. Like I want to get this scheduled and I want to get it done. And I think it's this like perfectionist side of me where I'll just see all the flaws, you know, and I'm just like this is just bugging me. I want to paint this stair. We have this like one stair that goes down to a little sunroom. And for some reason it wasn't painted. I mean, it's wood, it's like oak. And so it's like fine wood, but it's just all stained and it has like a kind of a crack in it. And it needs like a little facelift. And, you know, it's not a huge deal. It would take maybe an hour to do it, but there's just a long list of those things. But the bathroom renovation, that's a big one. But I do have it on my list to go. It'd be fun to look at tile and like, what do I want? Like, what do I actually want it to look like? You know, and it's a fun process. But anyway, so there's this dude. I don't know how often you read The Cut. I don't read it that often because I don't have a subscription. And frankly, the whole subscription thing is so frustrating. I don't know if you get frustrated with that. I know it's not a new thing, but you read a certain amount of articles on The Atlantic or whatever, and then you get kind of shut out after you read 3. Well, I haven't been on The Cut in like a long time, but a friend sent me an article. I don't even know how I found it, but I get on The Cut. I'm in the middle of reading this article and it like locked me out. Like I didn't even finish reading the one article and then I couldn't finish it. But anyway, so there's this dude and you may have heard of this. This has been on social media and stuff, but this guy, he's like supposedly some kind of like trend forecaster millennial guy. His name is Sean Monahan. He's like in his mid-30s, but you know, he had like a newsletter and he tried to start a business about this whole like sort of trend forecasting thing. I'm not even going to get into the whole thing, but there's just been rumblings of this like new post-pandemic vibe shift, which is like what we kind of talked about at the beginning of the show. Is like, yeah, how are things going to be on the other side? But obviously there is. I mean, it's like this guy is getting all this credit for, oh, it's going to be a new vibe out there. You know, we're going to get back out in the world and it's just going to be a whole new vibe. And it's like, obviously it will be. Like, I mean, yeah, because like people have been sequestered, wearing sweatpants. No one's made any huge leap. Anyway, this guy, I don't know much about him, so I'm not trying to be disparaging, but he probably is like a too cool for school kind of guy. But he did say, which I thought was kind of an interesting, I related to some of the stuff he said. So he basically breaks down that he survived, quote unquote, like 3 vibe shifts in his lifetime. So there's all these like decades, maybe 5 years, doesn't have to be a full decade, but like there was like the hipster indie music era, which like we obviously went through from like, I don't know, 2003, 2009. It was like very Arcade Fire and like Block Party and like cocktail bars. And like, then there was like the post-internet techno thing in like 2010. Some of this stuff I don't really relate to, like dressing like the Matrix. I'm like, I never did that. You know, I might have been in those Williamsburg cocktail bars and I was really into Block Party, sure. But like, I don't know, dressing like the Matrix. I don't know if you ever had friends that did that, but I guess it was a thing. Like the long trench coats.
I don't pay attention to any of this stuff. So you're definitely going to school me because I've never heard of this person. I've never dressed like the Matrix. I don't know anybody who has.
Yeah. Well,
I understand like trends, fashion trends, and certainly like musical trends. And yes, we try to lump them into decades best we can because that's just the way that humans do things. But like, okay, so we're nearing a vibe shift, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, will you survive sort of thing? Yeah, I guess it's like a sea change. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Of course we are. And I just think it's funny. Like I was thinking back on like some of the eras that, you know, I went through, you know, like I went through a very gothic kind of stoner artist phase, you know, listened to a lot of Depeche Mode. I wore velvet, you know, like I had my little phase but I also at the same time like played soccer like very competitively. And I'm like, that's such a weird combo. Like you wouldn't see that in a trend forecast. It's like I was just being me. Like I didn't even know that I was doing anything. I just was being me. This is how I felt comfortable. So I think it's kind of a funny way of like encapsulating. It's just like generalizing. And I think it's fun to think about. But yeah, it's like, can't you just be an individual? And I mean, I don't think I ever really followed. Sure, I might have like a trendiness here and there, but like this sort of being exactly like a group of people has never really been my jam. But yeah, it wasn't like I was trying to follow some cultural vibe. It was just like me expressing myself as an individual. Anyway, I just say bring it, whatever it is, vibe shift, sea change. We are survivors. So I don't know, email us at Have Such a Good Day if you have any thoughts on this.
Yeah.
If you have any ideas of what kind of vibe we're entering into. Maybe it's going to be the, I don't know, fill in the blank vibe. I don't know. Let us know what you think.
I think and I don't want to speak too soon, but if this whole world continues to open up because we're getting a little bit of a handle on this pandemic that we've been in, and we have a long way to go, but there are glimmers, right? There are glimmers of hope. All of a sudden, I don't have to wear a mask at the grocery store legally right now. That I would think that would be a pretty big indicator of there being a lot of new things that come out of it. A lot of new restaurants that open because restaurants closed before, or certain fashion that emerges because people want to try again after being sequestered for so long. Like I get why that would happen and probably will. I don't know how to predict it, but I also, I've got friends who, they talk about like hot sneakers and stuff, and I'm like, dude, those are ugly. Like I don't know. I know what you mean. I'm tired.
It takes too much energy to look at sneakers.
Well, and that's sort of just an obvious example. There are others where, to me, and I'm very much not calling anybody out at all. Yeah. But to me, it's like, it was superficial anyway, but the older I get, the more I'm like, is that really something that you're thinking about right now? Yeah. Like, I don't know. I am getting old. I mean, that's what's going on here.
Well, I think also it's like we're home a lot, it's like I do miss a little bit. I've always been into fashion for like an artistic expression, but it's for myself. I'm not like trying to show the world. Like I feel comfortable in certain things, and it's exciting sometimes to wear a cool pair of sneakers because you feel it's like something you love, and it's like you're wearing it and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like $1 million bucks or whatever. That's why I lean into it. So I get the cute sneakers thing to some extent, but it's also, there are a lot more important things to think about. But I have a feeling fashion's going to get really ridiculous because it usually does. I mean, you look at history and, people are going to just want to go nuts. It's like, I already see it when I'm cruising around online. It's like just really wacky silhouettes, just like weird stuff. And, but yeah, I think it's interesting. I do like these cultural movements. I think they're fascinating. Like during times of war, there's a lot of horror movies, and it's very interesting to see how humans do their art during different, phases of life and the world. I find that fascinating. So I did my thesis on that actually, about the Black Plague and all the art and literature that came out of that period. And it spawned the Renaissance, So it's like, we're going to have some kind of Renaissance of some kind. I don't know how long it'll last, but it's pretty common.
It's like, that's our vibe shift. Exactly. Some sort of new Renaissance.
And who knows how long we'll ride the wave. Defined. And as long as I don't get encompassed by a tsunami, which I have to say, I am slightly concerned living right on the coast here. There's this article that popped up about tsunamis and how every 100 years it happens in the Pacific Northwest. Granted, we are really high on the cliff. A lot of these places that they're like warning, not far from here. And then Oregon coast, Washington coast, there's these cities that are at sea level. So I am really grateful. I don't know how many feet we are up on the cliff, but we're on a bluff. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be a tsunami themed apocalyptic jumpsuit. I don't know.
All right. Well, best of luck to all.
Yep. Indeed.
On a more fun note, we want to thank our patrons. We love our patrons. If you're not already a patron, or if you say, what's that? You can check us out at patreon.com/have such a good day. It's where you can find out more about us trying to grow our community. You can directly contribute to the show, which helps us, and you get some fun perks from it. If you can donate $5 or more, but $5 at the minimum, you can join our Discord if you so desire. It's super fun. We're always chatting in there. But you can donate at any level. As donate, I guess it's more that you're contributing.
Part of a community.
Yeah. Exactly. It's you could think of it as donation if you want, but that's not really the terminology that Patreon uses. But I digress. We would love to have you, again, patreon.com/have such a good day. And thank you in advance. We're always looking for new patrons. And, you get an ad-free feed. If you don't like ads, well, you won't have them if you're a patron. You might hear them otherwise. And if you can't contribute right now, that is totally cool. We want to be accessible to all, but now you know your options.
And you get the show early. Depends on what happens that week, but most every week you will get the show early if you're a patron.
Pretty much all weeks, except when we have meltdowns.
Yeah. Which occasionally happens.
Which
we're
does
not robots.
Happen. Yeah.
I guess robots have meltdowns, but...
Well, they have their own kind of meltdowns. Human-induced, usually.
Yeah.
It's always come back to the human.
It sure does.
Always, it's a human's fault. User error. Well, Heather, we got a nice little email from Henry, who lives in Livonia, Michigan. And Henry, I think, enjoyed our conversation about pies and had a recipe that he wanted to share with us.
How could you not enjoy a conversation about pies? So, yeah, he gave us a recipe. It's a no-bake key lime pie.
I mean, it's pretty easy recipe.
It's a very easy recipe. Yeah, it's a key lime pie, 12 ounces of full-fat cream cheese. Please note, full-fat, room temperature. 1 14-ounce can of condensed milk. A half cup of key lime juice, which I don't know where you get that, but maybe, Henry, you can let us know. I've never seen key lime juice. 1 tub of Cool Whip. And then you mix all the ingredients and pour into a graham cracker crust. And then you let it chill in the fridge.
It sounds delish. I wonder if
really
key
does.
Lime juice is just like...
Lime juice.
You know those where you see it looks like a lime, but it's plastic and it's like lime juice? I don't know if key lime and lime, when it's just a juice, are all that different. Maybe it's like lemon and Meyer lemon. I actually know the answer.
Oh, interesting. Well, it's funny. I do have a quick little pie thing, Henry. Thank you for writing in. That's, I love talking about pies. But I actually just a few hours ago ordered another one of those coconut cream pies because I have one of my BFFs coming in. It's her birthday. So I'm going to surprise her. Hopefully she won't listen to the show. But it is again, this really strange, this place is hilarious. It's like they're so cagey about ordering pies. It's like, maybe it's a front, I don't know. But like there's these pies on their menu and you call and you go, I want to pick up a pie on Saturday or whatever. And the woman's like, oh yeah, okay, the coconut cream. I'm going to have a talk with the baker to make sure that we can actually make one of those right now. But I'll call you back. Can I get your information? It's like, okay.
It's like pie supply chain issues where you're like, come on, just make the pie.
What is up with this place? I am so curious. Anyway, I'm getting my pie tomorrow. I'm so excited. You got to try this pie, Sarah. It's so good. And I'm into it.
I am pro pie. There's not a pie that I will turn my nose up at, even though there are some I like more than others. Well, that's
it's not meat though.
Yeah,
it's like nuts or something. It's kind of like it's like fruit.
I mean, I've had it
or something.
It's funny that you mentioned not that they're cagey, and you're not totally sure why. This bakery that I love going to, it's just. I mean, I've never been to a better bakery when it comes to just like straight up fresh loaves of bread. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can get nice fresh bread at lots of places, but this is something special. And they don't there's no grocery store that carries their products. You can't call ahead. They don't, you can't order for delivery. You just have to go there and wait in line. That's the deal. I mean, if you went there first thing in the morning, there probably wouldn't be a line, but I didn't go first thing in the morning. So it's like, unless you're there right when they open, like someone's going to be ahead of you. It's just the way it is. It's really popular. But for a while, and it wasn't the case this morning, but for a while they were like, well, no scones for a while. Can't do any scones, you know? All the bread was still available. And it's like, it's not just like, oh, we make like wheat bread, right? There's like many different kind of almost sometimes outlandish types of bread where you're like, that's a weird bread. Wow, do I want a whole loaf of like cranberry, apricot, pumpernickel, you know, bread with like cinnamon? Yeah, where you're like, it's probably really good, but
yeah, a whole loaf.
Yeah, like maybe I'd like for a special occasion or something if I was sharing it. Otherwise, I kind of, I like my staples. But yeah, it was like there weren't any scones, and I'm thinking like, yeah, but this the whole bit like everyone's still working here. I mean, you're churning out like hundreds of loaves of bread every day. And you probably
have a lot of wheat flour. I mean, come on, let's be honest. You've probably got vats of wheat flour back there.
It was
like,
just
what's
a
the
funny
problem?
thing. There was probably like who knows, like maybe they had like 2 employees that like took time off and they were like, the scone people can't work.
Yeah, a lot
of
it is
like
a staff shortage.
It totally could be just something that's like if I just asked, like there's a very obvious answer. But I was, for a while I was like, but I wanted a scone, When are the scones coming back? Because what I do is I get loaves of bread, not every time, but I get my loaves. It's like it's gonna take me a while. Like sometimes like a whole loaf I'll freeze and just be like, I'll just deal with you later kind of thing. It's nice to have. But on the way home, I'll eat the scone because I want to eat something right away because it's just like I'm excited. I know I have all these good yummy things, and they've got like, again, kind of weird. There was like a blueberry lemon vegan something scone, and the first time I got it, I was like, the vegan thing, like. There's nothing wrong with vegan food. Some of it is delicious. But I'm like, is the scone going to be good? And it was. It was extremely good. But anyway, we can talk about food all day. But in the interest of all y'all's time, we're going to go ahead and wrap this puppy up. Episode 137.
In the can.
Woo, woo. Woo, woo. Not the trash can.
No.
A really good, cool can of key lime juice. Somewhere.
Yes, key lime juice, wherever. I'm not sure where I'm going to find that, but I'll start looking.
That will maybe be our homework, Heather. Like between now and next week when we do this all again, can we find key lime juice?
I am going to do some recon, and I'm going to report back.
Please do.
And you should too, Sarah. This is our homework. But in the meantime, I will this week remain Heather, not Sarah.
Remain Sarah. I know. Just everybody gets us confused, and so do we.
Yep, exactly.
It's always been that way. But yes, this was a lot of fun, and we hope you all have such a good day. Until next time.
Later.